So for me, this journey started a little bit over a year ago. It really started out with me seeing Tannen and Uncle Jim post different things over the past couple of years about the Debbie Joy School in northern Zambia. And I got more and more interested, and I kind of committed to coming on the next trip. I didn't know what I could do to help other than see if I could document some things, take some video. I started an organization called the Entrepreneurial Foundation for the Greater Good. We basically connect entrepreneurs with humanitarian projects around the world. I've been an entrepreneur my entire life, so I know how busy life can get being an entrepreneur. And it's very difficult to get involved in different projects because you're just so incredibly busy with your own stuff. And I wanted to create a kind of a platform where entrepreneurs could easily get involved with as little friction as possible. Each entrepreneur typically has certain skills that they can pitch in, whether it be marketing or construction or technology or communications. So last year I came over with I think about 7 other volunteers from the United States, came and met the people at Debbie Joy School and in the village and absolutely fell in love with them, just like Tannen said that I would. I started doing interviews. I interviewed some of the teaching staff, I interviewed some of the volunteers, I interviewed Tannen. A couple of things happened. Number one, I talked with Tannen and really learned the story a lot better of how this whole project started. Tannen's story is absolutely extraordinary, and very few people understand kind of how she grew into this and what happened in the very beginning that inspired her to do this.
So Debbie Joy is my sister, and she actually, when we were, I guess, in college, she was volunteering at this assessment center for abused and neglected children in the United States. And she always told me that I should help, and I thought I was too busy to help. She ended up getting leukemia whenever I was 19 and she was 20, and she passed quickly in 5 days after we found out her diagnosis. After she died, all the things that she had told me, you know, I was processing them, and I thought, well, you don't have to wait till you have time. You can just make time because you make it be a priority. So I started volunteering with kids then in the States. Originally, actually, when we came, we just came on a missions trip, you know, kind of a one-time, couple-week thing, and we visited places, but being an engineer, I questioned the value of my presence because I'm like, do you really need me here to hand out this candy to these children? So I asked the person who was hosting us, and he runs a church planting school and has been here a long time, if there was anything that we could do during our visit here that would be more valuable than sending him the money for the plane ticket and not coming. And so he suggested HIV/AIDS education. So at the time, I was in my early 20s, and I ended up coming back the following year with a few other people around my age, and we started these education programs in high schools. And whenever we started the school here, our original partners said, let's name it after her, because we know that she's like close to the heart of our family.
There are different points in my life where I've used that same excuse, that I've been too busy to get involved in important projects. There's never a perfect time to get involved in this kind of stuff. You can always find a reason why you're too busy. But then also I had a conversation with the headmaster, the gentleman that was looking over everything and making sure that it was running smoothly, hiring the teachers, doing the administrative side of the work. He was telling me all the different things that the Debbie Joy School is doing quite well. And he's very proud of the progress over the years of the advancement with the education, and the kids are doing so well. There are a couple of things that he told me about the school still needs. I left that trip feeling like I really understood what was going on, and I also understood, and I saw with my own eyes, that the money being spent on this project was being spent very well. All of the U.S. staff is 100% volunteer. There's no overhead, so every single dollar coming into this program goes directly to the kids at the school and what's going on here. There's no wasted money. I've seen the numbers, I've met the staff, I've seen everything that goes on, and I fully believe in this project. But about a month after I left, the headmaster passed away.
What's your vision? Where would you love to see this?
So right now we're kindergarten through 7th grade, and the 7th graders that are in our school have been with our school for years. So a lot of them, I know their families since they were young, and we would like to continue to increase 1 grade per year so that we see those 7th graders get through 12th grade. So in terms of expansion, I think that's what we're hoping for. We also have an emphasis, and we want to increase our emphasis on literacy and math and just fundamental learning, and making sure that not only they're coming to school, but whenever they get out, they're prepared with those basic skills.
Cool. And so you said there's 250. Is there a demand for more? Could you take more?
Yes. I mean, there's a couple hundred extra kids came out to school this year hoping to have a space, and we had to turn them away. The caretakers of the children, whether it be an aunt or some of them have parents they live with, some of them have grandparents they live with, the caretakers have actually requested that we have classes for them to learn to read also, which would be awesome, because when you think about it, like, some of your child's learning comes from school, obviously, but whenever they come home with their papers and before bedtime, you read with them, you look at their stuff, you're encouraging them. And so for the people taking care of them at home to be getting on board with their education, more than just sending them to school, but actually understanding it and going through things with them, I think it would really help both the students and the parents.
It dawned on me, I had seen the situation in the village and where people get their water from. They're these little, just deep enough to lower a bucket down and get some water out of it, and then 10 yards away is another hole that they use to go to the restroom. There's very little education, so people just don't understand cross-contamination, and therefore there's cholera, there's all kinds of waterborne illness. We need to do something about the water. And at about that time, my Uncle Jim recommended a book called Thirst. It is about charity water and what that organization has done with providing access to clean water in Africa. They've been able to install thousands of wells. And I figured, shoot, if we are really doing this for the people of Murundu, we are already providing education and nutrition. We got to figure out the water. Water is essential. So that's when we started trying to figure out how to install deep bore water wells in the village and at the school. My Uncle Jim put together a plan. He figured out it would take about 24 water wells. He came here for an initial visit to install a couple of water wells to see what the process would be like. From what I understand, it typically takes about $5,000 to $10,000 to install a well. Uncle Jim has figured out how, well, at that point he figured out how to do water wells for about $3,000 a piece. And after installing the first 5 successfully, he was able to get the price down to $2,200 per water well, which is absolutely amazing. One of the reasons why is because he manages the project. You don't have the overhead of a company managing the entire thing. He hires the water engineer, he hires the drillers, he hires the crew that does the cement work. It's a very, very efficient process. So this trip, we came, all of that stuff was already organized. Our goal was 10 deep bore water wells, and we were only here for a couple days, so we saw some finished wells and pumps. We also saw the well crew actually putting the deep bore water well in, and it was a great process. We now understand what a quality job these folks are doing, putting the wells in. These are not just wells to just get some water. These wells are designed to last 50 plus years. So in terms of impact, each well, if you think about it, if a well gives access to a couple hundred people or up to 1,000 people for multiple generations, each well is literally affecting thousands and thousands of lives. And these are real lives, these are human lives that don't have to worry about waterborne illness. The book that I read, Thirst, one of the things that I remember the most is a story about the ships that go around with doctors and treat illness off these ships. And they figure that they wouldn't have to deal with 50% of the illness that they deal with if those communities had access to clean water. By creating this access, we're actually reducing the amount of health care that's needed in these communities.
Water is like part of my life. I've been doing these water projects for the past 25 years. I've been operating with water projects. I've been doing irrigations for farmers, not only locally but around the country. Done big projects like irrigation for coffee plantations. From those experiences I've gone through, it's connected me to water. Talking about water, Zambia, we have problems, let's say in the rainy season, of cholera. Cholera is a waterborne disease where if water is contaminated through petrochemicals which are dug out, that can destroy a nation. So water means a lot to me.
I didn't realize what a big impact it was going to make. Now that I'm finding out, it's exciting to be involved with this.
What Jim is doing to Zambia is very much appreciated on the grounds, as I was talking about cholera. Cholera has hit Zambia before, and not Zambia, even the surrounding countries. Cholera is one of the diseases which can destroy a population if water is not taken care of. So what you're doing is, on the other hand, you're even protecting this neighborhood for that kind of eventualities which can occur through contamination of underground streams which are shallow.
A lot of people are just saying thank you. The government officials are saying thank you. We were just going to keep a low profile. Just go in, put the pump in. This is a gift, we're leaving. We'll go put another one in. But the word gets around pretty fast here.
That's why you see these placards here indicating that people have donated these pumps. This is not a political product, neither a personal product. This product belongs to the community at large, even to like race, religion. Anyone can have access to this. If you're Muslim or Christian, you got free access to clean water. It's water for the people.
And Uncle Jim and also Joe are very instrumental in picking strategic spots so that the well will have 360 degrees of population around it and not just be on the outskirts where it will only help people 180 degrees around the well. The more people use the well, the better. The more you use them, the better the water gets.
The water wells cost $2,200 a piece to install. There are people that have sponsored an entire well. There are companies that have sponsored wells. You can also sponsor a part of a well. If you don't want to put $2,200 in, put $500 in, put $1,000 in, whatever. Every dollar helps. There are actually a ton of different ways you can get involved. I think the most personal and the most fun way to get involved is to come. I'll be coming here at least once a year. It's a pretty cheap trip. We stay in the village for half the trip, which is minimal cost. And then the safari stuff does cost a little bit and the airfare costs a little bit too, but all in all, it's a fairly cheap trip. Every pair of hands can be used. We do all kinds of things. We bring shoes over and clothing and medical supplies and school supplies, and we do distributions, so every set of hands help.
If I came here just to experience seeing the animals, seeing Victoria Falls, and not have met those kids, I would get back on a plane just to come see them, just them. Yeah, it's been great to be able to see these other things, but the highlight of the trip by far has been going to the village. That's the memory that I'll have for the rest of my life.
You literally can come over and meet the people. You can see the project. You can get your hands dirty. You can hug the people. It's probably the best way to get involved. If you can't do that, there are tons of other ways you can get involved. You can also sponsor a child's education, and it's ridiculously cheap. It basically costs $50 a month for education for these kids, which if you think about education in the States, that's really cheap. Family partnership program, and that is per family, that is $35 a month. And basically what we do is we once a month we drop off staples to each one of these families that lasts through the month. It's not all of their food, but it's just enough to help them get by.
We came to them with dinner. We brought them trays of food that Eric and Mike helped make. Rosemary's grandmother went the extra mile and matched us on the food. I mean, she made like 3 dishes herself, and we already had enough food for a feast. This lady loves a lot. A lot, and she's probably giving Rosemary and these other kids such a beautiful home in comparison to what it could be. She loves this much and still needs help taking care of Rosemary's diabetes. I'm very, very grateful for the fact that Rosemary has that aid through the Debbie Joy School and through the Entrepreneurial Foundation for the Greater Good, and all these aspects are helping this girl and sponsoring her.
The cool thing about this project is I've been here multiple times. I talk to Tannen on a regular basis. I know the numbers. I know where the money is going, and I can guarantee 100% of every single dollar goes directly to the program. There's no BS with Americans making any money at all. So I believe in it 100%. I've seen it. I've been here. I can verify. This is one of the best nonprofits you could possibly invest in.